So welcome to the Big Frog Podcast. This is our first inaugural episode, and our guest today is Aaron Goldberg. Welcome, Aaron. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I'm a Bonus Creature. We also have Desarae.
Hi.
I guess just to get started, we'll just, I think I'll kick it over to Desarae because it was her that suggested you as our first guest because she's such a big fan. Not that I'm not, but
I am. There's absolutely no denying that I am an Aaron Goldberg fangirl. Definitely. Aaron, I'm just so thrilled that you agreed to be on the show with us, and just in general, like pretty much every time I've asked you for help for something, you've always just kind of enthusiastically done so. So I just really, really appreciate you. But just for the record, I want to tell you this, and I know I've told you this before, but I want to say it for the benefit of our listeners. Like, your music has had such an impact on my life. So I hope I don't start crying, but I'm just really grateful for you. I'm grateful for your being. I'm grateful for your creations, and I'm grateful that you're here sharing space with us.
Thank you so much, Des. It's really that's a huge joy for me to hear you say those things and to be able to share space with you. Thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate it. I believe in what you're doing, which is why I respond the way I do when you reach out to me. I believe in what your mission is, and I am happy and grateful to be along for the ride.
That's awesome.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, I guess. So, how did you come across Aaron? And what would we say our mission is with this Big Frog Podcast stuff?
Well, I actually discovered Aaron through a mutual friend of ours named Drew Lewis, and Drew is quite the character. He is an absolutely amazing person. He's a firecracker. But we were putting together a virtual event, I think December 2020, and Drew was like, "You guys are going to want Aaron. You're going to want Aaron. You're going to want Aaron." And he told me about his Twitch podcast, and I checked it out. I was like, "Oh yeah, we want Aaron." And so Aaron was actually our headliner / after party for what we called Burn and Vermin. It was a weekend long event, and Aaron just absolutely rocked it. And it was just such a blast. And ever since then, I'd hung out on his streams all the time. And man, that was like therapy.
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys had that history. I thought maybe you saw him on Twitch first or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's really where we got to know each other. I feel like I got to know you through working with you like that for that Burn and Vermin thing, and you got to know me through my music, and I'm so grateful that I got to be part of that. That was such a fun event, and getting to play along with Goat versus Fish and with Vermin Supreme. It was really such an interesting experience. I loved it.
Killer.
It was unique.
Yeah,
I remember at one point, Vermin was so stoned. And Aaron's doing his set, and Vermin had no idea. He had popped back in on the video and was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" It was great. And Aaron just played along with it. Once Vermin figured out, "Oh snap, I'm back on camera," it was pure magic.
And then the live video editing even became part of the fun. It was incredible. It was really a special event.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then Goat versus Fish kept popping in and out, and Aaron did this whole Goat versus Fish jam that was so much fun. Oh man, it was a blast. But that's actually probably a good segue into, speaking of Vermin Supreme, Goat versus Fish, and Aaron Goldberg. Just next week on Friday, July 21st, Aaron will be playing an event with both of those fine gentlemen in East Hollywood.
So excited for that.
That sounds rad, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked too.
So I guess maybe I don't know, man. I don't want to turn it in. I feel like we haven't spent much time on Aaron yet, but I want to talk about some of these other people too. So, like for people that are joining the, like most people joining the podcast will probably know you, Desiree, and know Vermin Supreme and be familiar. But I imagine there'll be some that maybe the two people that come because they know me, and the rest of the people that know Aaron, they may not know these people. So, like, do you want to maybe, since this is our first episode, talk about Vermin Supreme and your involvement with that a little bit and who he is and that sort of thing. And then, of course, Goat versus Fish. You got to mention him too. So I'm a Goat versus Fish fan. So my guitar that I play open mics with and stuff, I've got like the Goat and Fish yin yang thing sticker on the guitar, and people are asking me about it. I'm like, that's Goat versus Fish. Goat and
the unification sticker
of Goat and Fish. Yes.
That's great. Just for real quick background, I guess I probably could have started with that. I do work with Vermin Supreme. I am his manager, and I started working with him back in 2018, I don't know, around that time. I've been working with him for just, a few years, and it's an absolute blast, and I absolutely love working for him. Vermin2024.com. I got to throw in promo stuff, right? But anyway, Goat versus Fish is amazing. I've worked with him on several projects. I know that Aaron's played some live shows with him before. And they are, Vermin Supreme and Goat versus Fish are hosting an event where the two will debate to see who is better suited to run for president of the United States. And that will be followed by a victory celebration downstairs that will have live music featuring Aaron Goldberg.
Awesome. So Aaron, I don't know how political are you? Like, do you try to keep some separation between your music and politics and stuff like that? Which I guess we could label both Goat versus Fish and Vermin Supreme as political satirists. But Vermin did actually run for president on a legitimate basis the last election, right? So he's not strictly apolitical. Well, it'd be ridiculous to call Vermin apolitical, I guess. But anyways, so a lot of stuff there. But where do you fit in all that, Aaron?
I don't tend to voice my opinions on those things so frequently. Mainly, I guess, because I don't necessarily know, other than the simple things that we all are told, like vote. I don't know necessarily how to enact large change, so I focus on things that I do know how to make change, and I leave it up to people like Des to help us push forward in maybe larger, more effective ways, and people like Vermin, and I am here to help support those movements as well. I just don't necessarily feel like I'm the voice for politics. So I speak for more personal matters, I guess, like just person to person rather than a person to country. You know what I'm saying? It's less of where I put my energy, because not because I don't think it's valid. It's really kind of just not where I choose to put my time. It's extremely valid. It's huge. I just am thinking about other things more often than not, or even not thinking so much when I express, and so that's not even fully up to me what I talk about, because it just, everything I do musically is improvised, and so I kind of just have to allow it to be what it is, whether that's political or not.
Right on. So how would you describe your music? So I definitely it's cool to hear that you consciously make the decision to sort of make it organic, I guess. But how would you describe like your process and your music?
The best I can describe it is I start making sound, and then I try to carve it or tune it until it sounds good. Like I just start making stuff, and then I do my best to make it sound more pleasant to me. Even if that sometimes harsh noise can be pleasant, but like what I mean is like it's like carving. I just get something going, and then I find the music within that. I find the song within that.
Sweet. So
I just want to say real quick, Bonus Creature, that I have often, and when like Aaron's and my friend Drew are talking, we both like feel very strongly about this. I believe that Aaron is a conduit, and that his message is just pure, pure, pure love, and that's what his music is to people. It is to me. That's what it means to me. And so, I feel like that's probably more important to communicate than anything political, because it's straight from, like he said, person to person. It's a very beautiful, soulful connection. So I just kind of wanted to say that.
Thank you, Des. That's really, really sweet. And I don't think that there's one is maybe not more important than the other. It's just happens to be what I do, and it doesn't have a political label on it specifically. Sure. But like I said, I'm more happy to play at a Vermin Supreme event than I am most other political figures events. And so I'm still there to bring that energy to people who I think are doing good things. I just can't. I'm not there to say it necessarily myself.
Sure.
Yeah,
makes sense.
It's definitely one thing I would say about the streams of yours I've watched and stuff like that, and your other content is that it does seem to have like a positive slant and just sort of I don't know, just sort of an easy flowing energy that's just organic and stuff like that. Do you ever express negative emotions through music? I mean, if you're having a bad day, do you go down that route, or do you try not to?
For sure. I definitely do. When I first got out of my last relationship is around the time that I actually started doing live streaming, and it was a really good thing for me in terms of my grieving process and my healing process. And so there was definitely a lot of negative emotions being expressed during that time. And as I find myself in a place of less torment in that way and more maybe confusion and things like that, that's what I express when I'm expressing something other than positivity. It's kind of confusion and a feeling of like being lost a little bit, or yeah, I don't know. I do, but to be really fair, I don't say so much right now. I don't do as much singing as I once did. It's more being told with the music, or like with the other instruments. I'd say much less than I did at that time, because at that time I had a lot to say. Right now I don't have too much to say, but it's actually starting to come back. I'm getting a little bit. I've been doing a little songwriting lately, and that feels really good.
Good.
Nice. So is your songwriting process lyrically, do you just sort of let that emerge, or are you taking notes,
Yeah, so for many years now, it's basically just been an improvised process where I'll then, when something really sounds good, I will hold on to that one and go, okay, that not only sounded nice in the song, it also felt like a message I want to put my name behind. And then I'll hold on to that one and kind of fill in the blanks as I go. Or what I've done many times is kind of just put on my voice memo thing and run through the song over and over again, only repeating the parts that I really like, and then filling in the blanks again and again, improvising until something good falls out. And then if I really have to, I'll carve out the edges. But it's been years since I've actually written a song like that. Lately, all I do is improvise until I feel like it's good, and then I use my looper to record myself, so I don't even have to write these things down. I don't know what I'm saying half the time. Desarae knows my music better than I do, because there's songs that she's heard more than I have. And so it's lately, a lot of my music is simply like captured live moments, and I don't take the time to write them out, which is something I both celebrate and struggle with personally, because I think that there are some songs that maybe should be written and turned into pieces of music that can be shared. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not so linear anymore. In high school, it was a little bit more poetry, because I started writing songs through a creative writing class that I signed up for to help me become a songwriter. I was just a guitar player at the time, and I really wanted to learn how to sing and play songs, and so I took a creative writing class. And so it started out as I would basically write poems and then write chords to go along with that. But it's a very different experience for me now.
Right. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, like, one thing that a thought that occurs to me is there's sort of like this dichotomy between, I don't know, like, a lot of people listen to music, they listen to stuff that's like highly produced, and they sort of have that expectation. But at the same time, like like a lot of hits, like when you listen to interviews about how the song was written and stuff like that, like a lot of stuff just it's either going to resonate with people or it's not, and you can produce the hell out of it. It's not going to make a difference. So it's like, I'm always sort of like wondering what the best approach is. And I don't know that there's really a proper answer to that, right? Because I mean, the thing that you just bang out in a few hours might be, what resonates with people.
Yeah. I think the best approach is the one that gets you making something that's a completed product. So like for some people that's banging it out in the studio for a year, and then they finally can say yes. And for me, sometimes that kills the thing. So by the time I've heard it 1,000 times, I'm over it. And so for me, I found a process that helps me. I'm working on it. I'm not releasing stuff as quickly as I make it. And so I'm working on trying to hone that down. But I don't think there is an answer for the right way. I think it's just like, I truly think the right way is the one that makes it happen.
Right on.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty individual thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's process is different. I love that you said that you took a creative writing class because you wanted to learn how to write lyrics and how to sing, and I think that's pretty dedicated. I love it, and I love your singing voice. So I'm glad you did that.
Thank you. Thank you.
When he does harmonies with himself on his streams, when he's doing his looping and stuff, I just, like I'll always say in the chat, ain't no harmony like an AG harmony.
I can't tell you how fun it is to sing along with yourself, and if you've never tried it, I recommend it. It's really, really rewarding.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to pass and take your word for it.
Awesome. So, how long have you been making music, Aaron?
I've been like recording or playing in a band or whatever, making music in that way since I was like 14, maybe 15, and I'm
Nice.
29, almost 29. Oh my God, I'm almost 30. I'm 29. So, what is that?
Oh no,
14 years.
Yeah, I'm almost 32. It's rough.
Yeah.
I'm 42, Aaron.
Hey, I mean, apparently it only gets better, actually.
I don't know about that. I'm older than you, Bonus Creature, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe for some people it gets better. I mean, I can't say it. I take back any like negativity. Like I actually just changed my entire life.
Yeah.
In my 40s, like moved out of the house I lived in for 12 and a half years, met the love of my life, life is good, man.
Yeah, like maybe the body hurts a little bit more, but I really think that like we get better at taking care of ourselves as we get older, and so life will get better.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's been like 14 years, I think, and but my dad signed me up for piano lessons when I was 6.
Nice.
That definitely got me a really wonderful basis for music, and I stopped doing that around like 11 or 12, and picked up the guitar when I was 13.
Okay, so
That's
you would
cool.
consider guitar your primary instrument? Sorry, Des.
I would, but honestly, not anymore. I don't know what to. That's the one I'm the most proficient on. But even then, I have my limits for sure, very much. So I'm just more of a blues guitar player. But I'm a better blues guitar player than I am any other kind of soloist on another instrument. And so yeah, I'm mainly a guitar player. But I play more keyboards and synthesizers now than anything.
Okay.
You are a good blues guitar player.
Thank you.
I do want to ask you, like, so what inspired your parents to get you started on piano so young? Are they also musicians, or how did that all come about?
Yeah. As far as I know, it was my dad's idea. My mom probably was obviously had no pushback either, but my dad, I think, was raised where they had to learn an instrument as a kid, and he wanted that for his kids as well. Somehow, my older brother, got away with that, with not doing that. But my sister and I got piano lessons at 6, and then I had a lot of fun playing on our piano as a kid. Like, ever since I was young, I've been improvising as much as I could. It's really easy to just play all the black keys and have it sound nice, and I did that a lot as a kid. And
Cool.
yeah,
Nice.
it was really just like I think that my dad believes it's a good thing for kids, and I think he's right. I think it was really good for my brain, and it's one of the only things I've ever learned and held on to.
Right on. So that's cool. So you had like a sort of a formal basis as a kid, and then were you any? I guess I'm trying to think of like what the chronology is between that and then get into like where we've seen you on Twitch. So were you in any bands and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I was, let's see, I was 13, picked up the guitar, took lessons with a guitar teacher who emphasized improv, which is super important because he really, I give so much credit to Mike Schmidt. He's an absolute wizard. And everyone who I've sent over to take lessons with him, like, becomes a guitar, like, they can play guitar, they can do the thing. He can teach you how to do the thing, and he doesn't only teach you how to play songs. He teaches you how to play the instrument, and that's like key because a lot of people end up kind of getting bummed out when they go to play because they're just learning how to play like the song that they wanted to learn, but then they feel stuck and don't know what to do. So
Sure.
I took that and met up with a couple of my friends in middle school who we in like 8th grade into 9th grade. During that summer, we did basically started a band, and I was in that band for a few years in high school, and
Wow.
that was really formative for me.
Nice.
As
What
a
kind of
musician.
band? What kind of music?
It was pretty diverse in the sense of it tickled like the genres that we all of us enjoyed individually. So there was some prog stuff in there because the bass player was really into prog rock.
Sweet.
There was a lot of blues and kind of like Zeppelin hard rock style. Like just using Zeppelin as a reference because they were a huge inspiration to us at the time. So that kind of rock and roll. And then I snuck in like a little bit of like Jack Johnson one time on one song. There was like a little bit of that. Me and the drummer both like wrote a song together, which almost never happened. It was usually the vocalist or the bass player. And I had such a good time just being a guitar player, man. It was so fun to get to just like be part of a thing that made a big sound.
Right on.
Blast.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then that band broke up, and we kind of went on to do our own things musically. But me and those friends have since then carried on this tradition of doing something called a Slime Boys beat competition, or whatever you want to call it, compilation, where we come up with rules for one another and give each other a timeline, and then make 15 minutes of music or something like that, and then we all share it with each other.
Oh,
and
that's
so at that point in my life, after that band had come apart, around then is when the bass player friend was turning me on to some really cool hip hop producers like Madlib, J Dilla, MF Doom, and that really was the first time I'd ever heard that stuff, and super blew my mind. And they're some of the biggest inspirations for me when it comes to hip hop music and just beat production stuff. And at this point, most of my music ends up sounding like it gets like the bow on it is like a beat, like a hip hop beat. So it's like I'm always kind of building a sample, and then I throw on the drums. I'm like, sick, it's done. Like drums and bass, and then it's good. And so that has been a super formative experience for me, as well as these beat comps, working on music, having deadlines, working on music. pushing my limits in that regard. And then,
Sweet.
yeah.
So you said Slime Boys? Was that the name of the band you were in?
No, the band I was in is called Heavy Soul, but that was like our high school band. Slime
Right
Boys is just the name of like a group of us, and it's kind of an open-ended thing where we just had someone else join us recently who's a friend of my friend's brother. It's just like a group of us who get together every now and then to come up with like a music challenge that makes us make stuff.
Right on.
That's
cool.
awesome. I love that.
It's such a good thing. I'm so grateful to be part of it. It's really cool.
Would we know anyone in Slime Boys?
I don't know if you guys know Dr. Head Hurtin' MD. He was streaming on Twitch.
Awesome.
That's the guy who he was the bass player in Heavy Soul with me.
Kick ass, dude.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then Goo Girls, her name's Nadia. She's also a Twitch streamer and
she's amazing.
A singer. Yeah, she's incredible. And let's see. I'm trying to think. Bop Koiru, he doesn't stream much, but he has streamed before. He's a great DJ and also just musician, and he's responsible for turning me on to a lot of really good music. But I think that Dr. Head Hurtin', Void Play. I don't know if you know Void Play.
I wondered if Void Play.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the Slime Boys. So we actually used to have a Twitch channel where we would share this stuff. During the pandemic, we would do like every week. We would do a Slime Boys show where they would send me an old project and a video that they want to play along with it, and then I would throw it in an OBS thing and stream it for like an hour and 10 minutes or whatever, however long it took. It was like a little listening party for our old stuff. It was really fun. And then they carried it on, became streamers themselves. I had kind of gotten Void Play and Nadia and Dr. Head to get on Twitch.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So you guys have been doing the Twitch thing for quite a while then.
Yeah, just right in the beginning of the pandemic. So early on, this is probably the true answer to your question of how I went from being in a band to being on Twitch. I discovered a loop pedal a long time ago. It was the very first guitar pedal I ever got, was a looper. And when I did solo performances back then, when I was still in high school and just out of high school, they usually involved a loop pedal, and I would just kind of improvise. And if words came, I would sing, and if not, then I would just solo. But that shit was really messy. I heard some of that recently, and it was so sloppy and so bad. And it's amazing that I even did it in front of people because it was so wonky. But
yeah, but
years
we're
later,
our own worst critic. But
yes.
I can see it though. When you look back on earlier stuff, it's always
the thing didn't have an undo. Like you couldn't undo your last recording, and so it was just like if I wanted to keep the song going, I had to stick with every mistake, and so they were all over the place. But like the looper I have now, you can undo the last thing and without having to stop anything, and it's really incredible. But I found myself I seem to make music a lot more efficiently and effectively when there's someone else in the room. It's always been like I work better when there's someone else around. I don't know if it's because I feel like I'm performing or if I just feed off the fact that they're hearing it at all, and so I feel like it has to be kind of okay. But like I did an Instagram live stream in the beginning of the pandemic out of just a necessity for someone to be near me, even though it was just through a phone. I was just like, maybe if I put this on, I'll actually play music, because I hadn't done music on my own for almost a few years. It became something I just did to spend time with others or to help other people create their projects. I had kind of reached a creative dry space and really didn't like my process working in the laptop. I was not having fun with it anymore. And I just dug up my old loop pedal, put on my Instagram live stream, and that was the first time I had played music for over an hour on my own in years.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I discovered the secret to making music be fun again. Like,
awesome.
And so since then, I did a few more live streams, and then my friend told me, like, you should probably do this on Twitch. Like, it's a better platform. and I tried it out, and it went, so well. I've met really wonderful, supportive people. People shared me with other communities, and then I got a really nice little group of people who come hang out every time I go live, and it's like it's a dream come true to be able to push a button and know that people are going to come hang out and listen to me while I make sound. It's insane.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome, man. Yeah, so I think I first came across you when I stumbled into the Golden Shrimp Guild, and I think there was a synth-on, and you performed.
Nice.
So it kind of blew my mind. When I first started watching all those performers on there, I don't know, like I didn't even know that was a thing, and like I don't know how else to describe it other than just sort of falling in love with the whole scene and just being obsessed with it. And I mean, like, I have to consciously listen to music in other ways than just Twitch. Because like once you get involved with that scene, it kind of pulls you in, so it's just a really cool community. And I don't want to give too much credit to the platform itself versus the community that's using the platform.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
No, the platform itself isn't because like if I had started on YouTube, it would have been the same thing. It's just the fact that I was live streaming and found. I mean, I can't say it would be the same because they are different. Like some people use Twitch, some people use YouTube. But the point for me was, I had the opportunity to go live, and people had the opportunity to find me. And what an incredible thing to give artists! Like it's like, oh my god, I have my own TV station now. I can do anything as long as it's like relatively okay to show people. It's pretty empowering, whether it's Twitch or YouTube. But I'm now basically married to Twitch because those are these are my people. I honestly, that chat platform is better than the YouTube chat platform.
Right.
True.
And it's just like I like these people. I can't let them down. If Twitch ever crumbles, I'll end up somewhere else because I need the live streaming thing for my own sanity. But I'm super grateful to have found the community. So it's a really good thing to highlight. That Golden Shrimp Guild is just like one fraction of an incredible thing that we have going on there.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're amazing. What a sweet group.
Yeah, so I think that's where I saw Dr. Headhurtin too. I think he did his synth-on.
Heck yeah.
I'm trying to remember some of the songs that he did. He did this one about, oh boy, where did that little lady go? She's not on the billboards like I remember. What is that?
What's funny is I don't know this song, but I can almost guarantee you I know the billboard he's talking about. It's at the Tom Bradley terminal in LAX. There's like this lady on a billboard who's just very special.
Well, this was what is this? Oh my god, I'm just drawing a blank, dude. It's that it's a Chinese sort of musical show about Chinese heritage. What the hell is it called? Oh my god. Oh well, I'll think of it later. But yeah, he did a kind of a comical song on that cracked me up. And I caught him doing like he did a thing where it was like, let's talk about jazz, and he played drums.
Yeah, I miss Let's Talk About Jazz.
Yeah, that was rad.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
I have not ever seen his streams. Y'all should send me his link if he still streams.
He doesn't do it anymore. I mean, I hope that he will pick it up again. Obviously, the channel still exists, but he's busy right now. Sadly, he's not in that mode.
Yeah,
I try to get him back on it though because I loved his streams.
Yeah, he's concentrating on work right now.
Yeah.
I will say this, that I think that musicians streaming on Twitch is a huge thing that really kind of saved my soul during the pandemic because, man, you're stuck in your house. You can't go anywhere. You're afraid to go anywhere because you don't want to inadvertently kill somebody's grandma if something happens. I don't know, but I will say this. I remember, Aaron, you used to have these marathon streams and either Drew or I would text each other like, Aaron's streaming now. And he'd be like, yeah, I'm totally dancing around my living room. But I mean, and that's the thing is our souls need that, the community and just the being there live. We couldn't be there in person, but we were able to be there live.
It's connection.
I think that's a special thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty grateful for that. And, BC, you mentioned earlier, Synthon, it used to be called Synthfest. It was a Synthfest that Aaron had played where I wound up discovering the person that I'm with now. So I'm super grateful to Twitch. Like,
I essentially found my partner through the same means. It's really an amazing thing because it's a
Wow.
place where there's so much vulnerability, and it's pretty easy to, find yourself getting quite connected with people quickly. And I also met my partner through another filtration system that was essentially a Discord group related to both my work and a cartoon and podcast that we both liked. So it was really like quickly distilled to like, yeah, you and this person have quite similar interests, and they're into everything that you've broadcasted for the last 600 hours. and then finally got to meet her in person, and what a treat. And I'm so happy that Des had the same experience. It's like so crazy.
Nice, man. That's one thing that I found is like once you start hanging out with people that are around a similar interest, there's usually like this intersection of all these other things that you all mutually share and are interested in. It's almost bizarre. But it when it comes to community, like I think that's part of what's so powerful about it. It's just that there's just so many connections that you build, and you find out you have a lot of, like, even if you're coming into it thinking like I'm an abnormal person with abnormal interests, doesn't matter. There's going to be a gazillion other people like you that you'll find.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is true. I remember a few days ago, one of our neighbors, his wife had been out of town caring for a sick family member, and I finally got to meet her last weekend, and I was like, they are a really odd pair. And I didn't mean that in an insulting way at all. It's just they just seemed like wildly different. And my partner looked at me and was like, I mean, aren't we? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So I don't know. You just never know what you're going to connect with people over. And, music is one of the most powerful things to connect with people over.
Absolutely.
And as far as, you guys are both musicians, y'all are bearing your souls to us. And so, we receive it or we don't, but it's a really beautiful and special connection to those of us who do. So thank you to you both.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I sort of struggle with imposter syndrome, so it's just weird to hear someone call me a musician, but I appreciate it. Well, so like the thing about all this is like there's very few people, like we were talking about Dr. Headhurton taking a break, and that was for his career. Like there's very few people that are able to do this full time and actually make a living at it. Like it's usually like if people are doing it, it's because they love to do so. Yeah, and I think that comes through. So like what's your day job, Aaron? I mean, you're doing other stuff too, right?
Yeah, my main gig is I edit the Duncan Trussell Family Hour podcast,
awesome,
which is something that I feel so grateful to be able to say because I was a fan for years before having that opportunity, and it's working out. It's really good.
That's killer, dude. Yeah, so Desarae, I had no idea until kind of recently she mentioned that to me. That's really cool.
It's been wonderful, and I had actually almost entirely stopped listening. I had fallen out of the regularity of listening to it, and now getting to work for him, I have to listen to it, and I'm so grateful because some things end up in my lap right when I need to hear them, and he brings on really good people who, obviously, he's a comedian. He brings on other comedians, and they also have incredibly insightful things to say. But like he brings on all sorts of wonderful, wonderful people who have very useful information, and I'm so grateful that it's like almost forcibly put in front of me because it's like I may not make the time to hear it otherwise when I did years ago or whatever. But yeah, super, super grateful for for him being in my life.
Cool. How did that come about? Did you go to school for that sort of thing, or?
I did go to school for audio engineering. I went to a school called the Los Angeles Recording School. It's an offshoot of LA Film, but that wasn't. I don't think that really plays any role into it because with Duncan, it was like I was at a Ram Dass retreat, and he was also at a Ram Dass retreat, and we had met once before at the Comedy Store when I went to see him there. I ended up chatting with him, and he invited me and my friends to this Cacophony Society event, which I don't know if you know what that is, but it was just like, it's a group of people who do things like SantaCon, or it's called this thing that they do called the Salmon Run, where they put on salmon costumes and they go to marathons and they run the opposite direction.
That's
it's
great.
Like their whole thing is bringing novelty to the world.
Awesome.
And so he was really into that at one point. And this is way before I worked for him. I saw him at the store, and he was really into that and putting together an event to go have people meet up at a Gelson's, which is a supermarket chain, to sing Frozen songs, like songs from the movie Frozen, while wearing pajamas. It was the most absurd thing he could come up with, and it was a good time. But so he had seen my face before a couple times, and then at this Ram Dass retreat, he was like, "Oh, hey, it's good to see you again." We chatted a little bit. Then 6 months later, or whatever, at the next retreat, he was not there. His wife was, and apparently they were looking for he needed help for work because he was also working on a show that was unreleased at the time called The Midnight Gospel. And so he was much more busy and unable to do all the editing that the podcast needed, and so I'd happened to be in the right place at the right time, and apparently the woman running the Love Serve Remember Foundation's retreats recommended me, and she had never heard my work before. She had never heard anything I've ever done. She just felt that my vibe worked with their vibe and that I would show up, and she was right, and it's been like such a gift.
Awesome, man.
That's awesome.
So
I
weird.
love that.
Yeah. So I was going to those retreats. Sorry, just the one final weird thing. I was going to that retreat initially. I emailed the Love Serve Remember Foundation because I wanted to work for them. But the head of the foundation was like, "Oh, we don't have any openings and no volunteers." But he was like, "Come to the retreat though." And so I did, and the rest is history. It's really insane.
That's amazing. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. So I have to confess, I haven't really listened to a ton of his podcasts. I saw him on Joe Rogan a couple of times. Absolutely loved it.
Those are great episodes.
There may be a ghillie suit in my Amazon wish list, and I'm sure the authorities might think that's for different reasons, because I'm sure I'm on the watch list by now.
Right.
But it was probably over that. Yeah. And so it was really cool. I've watched a little bit of Midnight Gospel. It's freaking awesome. So I just keep saying everything's awesome right now, but
there are a lot of awesome things out there.
True.
Yeah.
I love Midnight Gospel. I think the main reason I even watched it is because he had Damian Eccles on there, and I was a big West Memphis 3 supporter. Like, I actually kind of dipped my toes into the music business way back in the early 2000s by putting together a fundraiser for them in Dallas. Like,
oh, that's so cool.
Years and years ago. And they are semi-free. That's a whole other topic for discussion. But I was super thrilled to see that he had Damian Eccles on, and wound up watching the whole show. And I wasn't that familiar with him at the time. I was familiar with some of his stand-up work, but I was like, man, what a beautiful soul this person is. And Duncan really does just project that. Like, he just...
Yeah, I've always been into comedy, and then I want to say more recently, but I don't know, probably the past 15 years, I've gotten a little more into spirituality and that sort of thing, like probably through Alan Watts and that sort of thing. So you have a character like Duncan Russell that kind of combines those things. It's just right up my alley, So,
absolutely. Yeah, no, that's such a good point, because what he is so good at is being the sugar in the medicine. Like, he makes...
Well said.
Which is what all these, like, Ram Dass great at that too. But Duncan's, it's a different sugar for a different group of people. Ram Dass is out there. His people find him. They found him. They will continue to find him. Duncan is a little bit of a different flavor. And, God, I mean, Lord, we all know that information needs to be packaged with a little sweetness, and I'm so grateful that he's out there doing that. In fact, like when I did my first Ram Dass retreat, I remember coming home, and this is to be clear, not every retreat ends like this, but I came home feeling so high, like higher than any mushrooms or LSD has ever made me. And for much longer, I was really sensitive, like almost, painfully sensitive to the point of like hearing disturbing things, seeing disturbing things would almost like break me into tears, without a doubt. And it was really hard. I was just like really, really sensitive, and thankfully that eased out because I like playing like violent video games sometimes, and that I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to like watch bullshit on the internet because it was like painful. But now I'm able to be a normal human again. But at the time, I was really like, I don't even know if I want to work in media anymore. This is horrible. I don't want to be part of any of this stuff. Like whatever this stuff is that's making me feel this way. And then 6 months later, I end up with a job in media, editing a podcast, but it's media that I think is doing the opposite effect. Having the opposite effect. It's healing people. It's helping people find even more healing. Because also Duncan, he's not a guru, he's not a teacher, but I think he's accurately described as a lighthouse. He kind of like points light, says, come this way, there's good shit over here, there's land.
Right.
And then people end up finding Ram Dass, Pema Chodron, like so many wonderful people, whoever they will resonate with even deeper and for those needs.
So I don't actually know a ton about Ram Dass. I've heard several people like Duncan and Russell Brand talk about him. The little bit I remember, is he the guy that advocates for like the cold dips and stuff like that? I'm sure that's a very small
Wim
portion.
Hof.
Oh, Wim Hof. Okay, I'm totally off. Okay, so how would you sum up Ram Dass's philosophy? Is that a tall order?
No, that's pretty easy.
Okay.
To be fair, because at the end he made it really simple. Okay. He would just say, like, his real mantra is "I am loving awareness," and his message from the 70s was "Be here now." Which is really important to do. We have to be here now if we want to make any effective change. And when you are here now, it's much less overwhelming than when you're everywhere else trying to do something here now. So his whole thing is be here now, and I am loving awareness. Kind of stepping back from the identity of all the stuff that we are and just being the watcher, the loving awareness of it all. It's kind of what he was helping us figure out.
So it sounds a lot like sort of a Zen Buddhist kind of oriented
definitely
thing,
works. He definitely knows and is friends with a lot of Buddhists. The guy who ended up teaching him, or his guru, is like a Hindu. His name is Neem Karoli Baba. But it's, he has all sorts of, there's Buddhists who do, even though he's dead now, at the retreats there are Buddhist speakers. It's not like it's one religion or another. It's actually kind of outside of that. The other, if they ever use religion, like whether they use a Buddhist text or a Hindu text or story, it's just to share an idea or a concept. It's very openly, not like this is it, like like some religions may try to convince you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So what kind of stuff did you do in the retreat?
It's a lot of it's scheduled, and so you get there. I was camping on site at the time. Some people are sleeping inside on like cots or whatever. You get there, set up your camp, and then have dinner. If I remember how it actually started. Maybe you get there early in the morning on the first day. I genuinely can't remember, because by the end I started showing up a little early and hanging out with the people there because I became friends with them. But you show up and it's scheduled with talks that are broken up with kind of exercises. So you may have a Buddhist speaker. The weekend will have a theme like compassion in action, and then the speaker will have planned out discussions on things that relate to that, and you'll maybe listen to him speak for an hour or two, and then get broken into smaller groups and asked to speak about how you feel about what was just talked about, or do some sort of exercise in that way. And you're also, I mean, you're paying for this. No one is telling you what to do. This is just offered. You could go there and put a sign on your chest that says, "I'm on a silent retreat. Don't talk to me." And you don't have to do anything. Like, no one's going to bother you. It's just it's an environment where you're free to do this and don't have to do shit else all day. And there's someone making food 3 times a day, and you get to also, something that's a great joy is being part of the food service line. You get to like feed people. It's one of the greatest things in the world.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how much would you say like spirituality enters into what you're doing musically?
It's everything. I think that my music is my spirituality, because and music and art together, but that's where I enter flow state, and that's when I'm most present. It's when I'm making stuff. And I think that I know I could meditate more, which would be a conscious choice to sit and allow myself to enter those states without needing to do something, but I'm grateful for the fact that I have a way of both in making something and entering into those states, which make me, I think, a better person because I'm more relaxed when I'm done.
Do you ever, I mean, I'm guessing the answer is no, because you mentioned that you went on Instagram to have people watching you, but I mean, does the fact that there's an audience ever impact your ability to enter flow state like that? I mean, because you interact with chat, you're always like really gracious with the people that are present and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that it can, but more often than not, it supports it. But I think that if I get in my own head about what they want from me,
right,
then it can. But when I used to do it, as Des mentioned earlier, I used to do like marathon streams. I was doing 5 hours a day minimum every day, and there was a time where I was still doing that, but I didn't need that like I did before. And I was doing it before almost as like a coping mechanism, as like a way of grieving and as a way of letting stuff out. And then it became something that I felt I had to do in order to keep people happy. And there was a little period where I was doing it and not wanting to necessarily for that much time. And I started to feel like I was kind of beating like an old idea over and over and over again. And I had no musical progression. I felt like I was just kind of making noise, and not in a good way. Like I just felt like it was not good anymore, especially because I wasn't like making music off stream, so I wasn't ever making anything great after the fact. I was just kind of doing stuff that I knew would work so that I could keep music flowing.
Right.
So now I do it much less frequently, which leads to not as much music time, but I think more quality stuff. I think that definitely songs get not made because of the fact that I'm not forcing myself. There were definitely sometimes in those 5-hour streams, it could be like 4 hours of bullshit and then like an hour where I was really in it and found myself in love with it again and not thinking about what I should be doing. But for the most part, it was kind of draining for me to do that, and I found a better balance now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
important. I always admire when I watch your streams and I'm able to catch them early enough to where you're just kind of starting out, because like now that I don't know if I should say now that you've got the modular, because I don't know how long you've had a lot of it, because I catch you here and there, but like I've noticed that, you're willing to sort of, just start with something like very minute and just build upon it. And you don't seem to worry so much about the pace and try, you know what I mean? Like you mentioned, feeling like you want to do the thing that the audience wants.
Yeah.
And so like that can definitely encumber creativity, I think. So I've always admired that. I don't know. I get the sense that you don't seem to worry about that so much, and then so you'll start out with some small idea, and then 5-10 minutes later it grows into this amazing thing. And like if you had not just allowed it to sound however it sounds for a period of time, whatever emerged wouldn't have emerged. So
yeah.
Is that something you consciously think about when you're doing it, or?
Definitely. I you know what? I've come to trust that the people who are there for the whole thing, because they know that it's going to take me some time to get to what they may ultimately want as well. But that still is me thinking that they really just want a cool piece. Some of these people just like hanging out with my energy. Like some of these people just like hanging out with fuck me. They like hanging out with the people who come hang out with me. Like it's like a good community that's there as well.
It is a beautiful community.
So it's like sometimes it's like even insane for me to think that what they really want is like the finished product, because like they're just like, I don't know what they're getting out of this. It could be so much more than music. That may be their least favorite part. So I've come to trust that I'm here for the music and community, and I'm trying to make music, and so I'm going to do it at my pace. And sometimes I get caught in a wave, and I think like, oh, I got to keep this momentum going, and so I'll find myself in the middle of the stream starting to put a little bit less effort into it, and make or less effort into my true process, and more just like push, make. But I'll catch myself, and then I'll relax again, because I trust that they're okay with that. Like the people who are here to watch me clicked on this thing. I'm not opening for some band that they want to see more than me. Like they're there to hang out, and I trust that they'll spend their time the way that they want to, and I'll spend mine the way that I want to. And it helps me a lot.
Cool, man.
I will say, as somebody who has hung out on many of your streams, it is a lot of it is the vibe. And if you see the chat, like just the way that people interact with each other, and it's so genuine. And I feel like there's just this really beautiful, strong community that's built on love. And as I said before, I feel like you're a conduit. I think that all of those things are just kind of combined into this like beautiful package and this beautiful community. I'll call each other Shed Fam. Like we're, Aaron plays in the shed, and we're like the Shed Fam, and like everybody just loves being there. It's a beautiful vibe. No pressure. Like I didn't know that you were feeling that way at any point, but man, I got to tell you, as somebody who enjoys your streams and is a fan of your work, just being there is amazing. So
thank you. Yeah, I mean that's what I hear. No one tells me the things that I'm telling myself. It's all a projection. And even if it's true, it's still not the most. Those aren't the people who I'm playing for. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I'll have albums out there eventually that they'll get to go to the song they like and hear the good part and then move on with their life. But like the Twitch thing, I need to continually remind myself, because I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I just need to continually remind myself that the people who are here are pleased, period. They're happy.
Yep,
and if they're not, they will go to the next stream. Like, and the people who are staying around are there for exactly what I'm doing. And there's no reason to upset the true point of the whole thing to try to make like one new fan who will then all eventually lose anyway when they see what I'm actually about. So
sure.
See, I take the other approach. I assume everyone there is very hostile, and any mistake I make, they're going to use that to unfollow and leave. And
well, dang.
The only thing I'm super afraid of is like really loud noises, because I know people are trusting me with their ears, and I never want to hurt somebody's ears.
It happens, man. It happens.
Yeah, it does. Especially with like modular stuff. Sometimes you just have no clue how loud these things are going to get. It's insane.
Well, I think that's one thing that's cool about the whole scene and the platform, is that I almost like despise the expression at this point, but people see how the sausage is made.
Right.
But like, yeah, but just being able to see that like this stuff doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Like it's an iterative process for most people, and all that. I think like it's almost an educational thing for some people to just drop in on a music production stream, which yours isn't necessarily music production per se in the sense of sitting down and like want to, like we talked about, I want to produce a track today. But regardless, like even if you're improvising, like you hope that you arrive at something by the end of it. Or at least throughout it. Right. So, but it's cool for people to see what that process is and stuff. And I think people are into that, man. I think, like I'm continually trying to convince myself that people aren't strictly wanting that packaged produced thing all the time, that they also like seeing the other part. I mean, that's why people show up for live music and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, some people are really into the whole watching the guy like choose the sound that he's going to use or make the sound just as much as they're interested in hearing what you're then going to do with it. You're right. It really is for some people. They're getting to see something that's not normal for them, and they get to see into this world that they like and see it from another way.
Yeah. So I mean, between that and just as a form of oh, go ahead, Des.
I'll say as a fan of music, I do appreciate getting to see the process like that. It is, it's informative, it's educational. It's also like you and everybody has a different process. So just getting to experience that with those that are willing to share it is like a real treat because, it, like you said earlier, BC, it doesn't just come out of thin air. Like, there's a lot of work and a lot of emotion and a lot of there's just so much energy that gets put into these things. It's really important to the person presenting it. So, it's just kind of a neat thing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another interesting aspect is just how subjective it all is. So like, I try to keep in mind too, that even if, I don't know, if I'm at a point where like, I don't like what I'm doing, like somebody may,
Totally.
Sure.
Yeah. And the other way around, like even if everyone likes it and then one guy comes in, he's like, this sucks. It's like, who cares? Like these other people are vibing. Like, don't let it all, don't take everyone's opinion as the most important thing because we don't know. We don't know. There's everyone's got a different experience of what you're putting out there. You can't really control that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we should probably wind things down.
I don't want to.
I know. my phone's
How long have we been going now? I guess it's been.
I don't know.
I've been recording for an hour and 3 minutes, so we've.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty good time then.
Yeah. So I was just looking over the notes I had about stuff we should cover. I wanted to ask you about Void Play, your friend Ian.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned him. But so like he's another Twitch streamer that I came across through the Golden Shrimp Guild that I his stuff's really cool. I haven't got to watch him in a while, but has he been streaming lately?
He's also kind of taken a break from the streaming right now. He's doing more. He's working right now, working at a restaurant, doing a couple jobs there, and just him and I have been doing some production stuff on our own time. But he's not. I believe that the issue is where his studio is at the moment doesn't have Wi-Fi. Like it's too far from the router, and they don't have a. It's just the internet's not good enough right there for him to do a quality stream.
Okay,
but I think that he actually does want to get into doing that. Like more is a weird. I guess it's weird for me to say it like this, but like more than Dr. Head. Like Dr. Head probably will be less inclined to go back to Twitch as much as I think Ian really got a lot out of it.
Okay.
But
I hope he does. I always liked, his stuff. I don't know, would you say it's accurate to say like he has more of a darker slant than the music you make? Is that
for
fair?
sure?
Yeah,
well, he has a darker slant than the music I present normally. But also if sometimes if you catch me at the right time, my whole stream sounds awful in a good way, but like it sounds like really gnarly and almost no rhythm to it or anything like that. But and actually hanging out with him is making me want to make even more house and like dark, deep house
Nice.
music. He's super into the dark electronic scene, so you're absolutely accurate with that. He's like very inspired by a particular style of electronic music, and to be honest, it's been so cool over the last couple of years to see him get where he is now. Like, he just showed me his latest track that I don't even know if it's out yet. He might have posted on his story today, but it's the best sounding thing I've seen him make, and it's like it's exactly what I think he wants to be making, and it's so cool because he came to me like 10 years ago maybe or so to try to make some music with me, and like I remember we were in Logic, and what he wanted to be making wasn't necessarily like on the grid, and it didn't also like his note choices were not making sense to me, but I felt like I was almost like getting in the way of him trying to like help us do it right, which was just my way. And I actually apologized to him for that one time. I was like, I'm so sorry that I like actually kind of crushed your idea because I didn't necessarily understand it. But like now I see where you're headed, and that was even years ago, and now I see where he is, and I'm so happy to see that he's making the music that he's making, and that I get to still be part of it now. Like he comes over here semi-regularly, and we are working on some like hardware electronic music sets that we're gonna try to take out into the world. And
oh, cool!
Nice.
It's so cool to see him doing that thing.
Yeah, you guys have collabed on stream a few times, right?
Yeah, and we'll be doing that more as well.
That was awesome. So I think I only caught one, but man, it was amazing.
It's fun. Usually much heavier. Yeah, so you're not wrong that it's darker and heavier than what I normally sit on for a long time.
Right. Well, I don't mean to say that you don't do that. I'm all about, like, I like having, I don't know. I like to listen to dark stuff. I like to listen to happy stuff. I just try to modulate my mood a little bit through music sometimes,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love getting to work with Ian. It's so much fun to get into that dark and dirty shit.
Right on.
It's great. I love it.
Sweet, man. And I don't want to forget to bring up the upcoming Vermin show. We mentioned it earlier, but do you want to talk about that again, or did we cover it okay?
I mean, I just know that at least before Des wants to, if you want to plug it one more time with full information, I just want to say that I'm insanely excited for that. Also, obviously nervous because it's been a little while since I've done a live performance, but this upcoming weekend I'm going to be playing at a little private party at my friend's house, which is just a bunch of synthesizer nerds, and so I'm going to potentially be able to do a little like I've been practicing, but I'm going to do a performance a week before this upcoming one that is going to help me, I think, feel even more confident in what I'm going to bring. But basically, I'm probably going to bring these two synthesizers that you see right here, if not just one of them, but probably both of them, and do just a live synthesizer set. Someday I'm working on putting together a more compact live looping thing, because I would love to do that for y'all, and I'd love to be able to do that for myself in a more mobile way. So hopefully I get to bring different flavors to multiple Vermin events or anything else that you end up putting on.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. Calling those a synthesizer, that was really glossing over what's going on right there. It looks like a pretty serious couple of modular setups.
Yeah. It's been so much fun to like design these instruments. It's essentially because as you have, what is that? Is that an ARP behind you? What's going on?
that's a 2600 clone.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. So like a modular synthesizer is so fun because it can either be forever evolving, like you can just throw a bunch of things together that can make something that makes absolutely no sense as a traditional instrument, and you can kind of, every time you put cables together, you're designing a new instrument. And so for these two cases, this one up here is a drum machine, and I've basically got to design like a dream drum machine for myself with what I have. Cool. And the one below is like more of a melodic synthesizer that does. It also has some wonderful effects in there and a sampler, And so like I've gotten I do kind of just call them synthesizers now because they're like a single unit. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot more going on there than like the original synthesizer. But it's such a cool thing to be able to put so much sound in basically like a briefcase and just take that with you to the gig and call it a day. Like it's going to be easy for the sound guy. So that's a plus.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only taken my electronic stuff out a couple of times, and I've not come up with a suitable portable rig. I'm always like hauling a gazillion things. So
it's not fun to travel around with anything besides like I'd rather do just one Eurorack case, but the other one will probably bring a lot more variety to the show, and I'll be able to play for longer. So I'll do that.
Sweet. Do you bring your 505 still?
I don't. I've only brought that with me one time, and that was when I went to play Grundy Palooza in Seattle.
Okay.
And that was definitely fun, but it was the reality of bringing that stuff for like a couple hours is like too much. So I dream of like buying like another one and putting it in like a travel box that just like. All I have to do is open it up and it'll have like a couple instruments inside of it. It's like it's really daunting for me to break down my setup just for like a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something I'm working on.
Sweet, man.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I thought, if we ran short of time or something, we might get into equipment a little more, but maybe we'll follow up on another podcast one day or something like that.
I will gladly talk with you all anytime.
Right on, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was there anything that you guys wanted to cover we didn't get to?
No, I mean, I talked about Twitch, but I just want to say, like, if y'all are interested, come check out twitch.tv/Aaron Goldberg. And all my other links can be found there because there's a more famous piano player named Aaron Goldberg. So if you Google Aaron Goldberg, you're going to find a different guy. But if you go to twitch.tv/Aaron Goldberg, my YouTube links are there, my Bandcamp link is there, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I definitely, when I searched for you on Apple Music, I came across the jazz pianist Aaron Goldberg, I guess he is. And then there's another one on Bandcamp, but it looks like you got the Aaron Goldberg slot on Bandcamp. So
That's right. And I do have, I think on Bandcamp, no, you're right.
He's there too, but his name has like piano at the end.
Yeah. I got him on that one.
You won. Take that.
I do have music available on like Apple Music and Spotify, but it's old as heck at this point, like 2012 or 2013 or something like that. So if you're interested in hearing old singer-songwriter stuff from those like creative writing times that I was telling you about, then go check that stuff out. But Bandcamp is where you're going to find the most recent music, and I'm working on putting together a collection to put out on Spotify and Apple Music of more recent stuff.
Sweet, man. Yeah,
awesome.
So twitch.tv/Aaron, is there an underscore? No. Score? Oh, it's just Aaron Goldberg, sorry. Yeah. Okay. And then, it's aarongoldberg.bandcamp.com, right?
That's right, yeah.
All right, sweet, man.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. This has been really fun. I appreciate you being our first guest. It's been killer.
Yep.
Such a joy to talk with you guys, truly.
Yeah, likewise.
Back at you.
Looking forward to meeting you soon. Are you going to be there, BC, or where are you?
I'm in Tennessee, so I won't make it, unfortunately, but maybe someday.
Absolutely someday. And when I find myself in Tennessee, I'll be sure to reach out to you and see what's up.
Awesome.
It'd be great to see you in person.
It'd be killer. We got a guest room, do what you got to do.
Beautiful.
I'm here.
This is the way.
I'm looking forward to seeing you, Des.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Super stoked. I'm so glad you're able to play the event.
Yeah, I'm honored.
Excellent. Well, this has been a Big Frog podcast with Aaron Goldberg.